Hey, replaceable people. Hi. And today I have with me Dave Birss. With Dave, we will talk about how you can use and leverage AI to increase your performance at work and in your life. Dave, how are you?
I'm doing so well, Pascal. I'm delighted to actually be chatting to you face to face after having read many of your newsletters. So yeah, wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. So Dave, you've worked on a lot of things, but one of the latest was a LinkedIn course that was quite popular on
Yeah.
how to leverage AI for productivity.
Yeah. Now, when I've been creating LinkedIn learning courses for a few years, and when in November 2022, when ChatGPT was released to the public, I threw myself into it just because I'm a geek. And I like to be at the cutting edge of these things. And I was looking what people were saying online about how to prompt. And I realized that most of it was nonsense. So I went away and I did my own tests. And because that's the way I work, I run experiments, get results, and from that I'll work out how to do stuff. And I came up with a framework on how to write prompts. So I thought, I'll see if LinkedIn want a course on this. And they jumped at it. And my first course on AI came out in March of 23, so just over a year ago. And it was very successful very quickly. And it ended up being one of the most successful courses at the time. And so they said, can you do some more? So I did 6 AI courses in total last year. And I've got another course coming out together with another instructor. We did a joint course that's coming out in the next couple of weeks. And then in the next couple of weeks as well, I've got courses coming out on my own website, which are going like really in depth into prompting and also looking at how you can implement AI into your job. So that's what one of the courses is looking at how you can identify the opportunities in your job where AI is really going to help you. So I can't wait to get those launched and out in the
Wow.
market.
Wow, there's a lot to discuss about. Uh, and I don't know where to start with. What would you start? What would you say to people who want to improve their performance, their productivity at work using AI? What?
Yeah, productivity for me, I split into 2 different things. I look at efficiency and I look at effectiveness.
Right.
And most of the organizations I've been talking to have been over focused on efficiency to actually, I think, a damaging level, where they think that they can use AI to improve their profits this quarter. You know, how do we use it? Because of course that's what leadership are interested in. That's how they get remunerated, is by getting a bonus because they've managed to get more profit for less cost. So they're looking at how they can use AI for that. How can we use it to speed up our existing processes and get more work done? What can we outsource to AI
Hmm.
rather than getting humans to do it? And
It's a short term cost
oh yeah,
reduction.
so I've run workshops on this over the last year, and we've looked at that where my clients have said, look, we want to focus on productivity. So how can we do that? And we generate these ideas. What are the problems in the organization that are things that we can then get AI to help with? And when we get the list of issues, we find that 90% of them cannot be helped by AI. They are in fact fundamental issues that the organization has in its own processes, in its management, in its sign-off procedures, in the fact that lots of people are doing useless work moving information from here to here to here and not actually really honestly making a dent. So what I ended up in these workshops, they ended up going to a dark place sometimes with people going, actually, yeah, this, we just shouldn't be doing this. This is just wrong. So where I found the bigger opportunity is running workshops where we look at the opportunities to augment staff. And the way that I like to use both the efficiency and effectiveness thing. And the exercise that I give people is I say, I want you to identify the things that piss you off. And they piss you off because either you don't want to do them or they piss you off because you wish you could do more of them. And that, to me, we're finding it's the stuff that you wish you could do more of is really where AI comes into its own, and it helps elevate people, helps them reach higher, helps them maybe free up space as well to do the stuff that they really are going to be able to make a dent in the business with.
I love
So
it.
that's been some of the work I've done over the last year with everything from Fortune 500 companies down to startups. I've been doing these all over the world, so it's been very. I've learned a lot from seeing how companies deal with it as well.
I love it. I love it. So I mean, I use a similar framework, which is with AI, we can do two things. We can automate tasks, which gives us back time,
Yeah,
and we can augment ourselves, elevate our skills, basically, so amplifying our
yeah,
skills. And usually those skills will be around creativity, connection with others, and critical thinking. That's
yes.
and so can you tell us how, so that's a great framework again, how to implement it? How can people go about it?
Yeah, well, I love that our thinking is in a very similar place, Pascal. So, yeah, when we do that, one of the things that I find as well is once we identify these tasks, it's then working out how can we get AI to help us with the tasks. And a lot of people try to get the AI to do too much, but also people try to get the AI to do too little. So it's working out what that balance is. So the way that they try to get the AI to do too much is they try to give it too big a task, and they'll say these terrible prompts. They'll write something about write me a 600-word blog post about diabetes. They'll get it. They will get that blog post,
Mhm.
but it will be rubbish.
Yes.
And it will be rubbish because that's not the way humans work. The way that humans work is we don't work on tasks, we work on subtasks. So what we do is we take those tasks and we break them up. And we go, right, what are the subtasks? Okay, we're going to have research. We're going to generate ideas for this blog. We are then going to select the best idea. We're then going to outline what are the main points we want to make within that idea. And when you start breaking it down into these constituent subtasks, that is where AI excels. And you can get AI to do that, right? We're doing, say for example, we're going to come up with ideas. So you're going to write a prompt that's going to say that this is my audience. This is how long. This is how long how many words I want you to write. This is what the points that I want to make. And you're going to put as much information as you can in to then say, I want you to help me generate ideas. You might even put in examples and say, here's some former ideas that we've done that have been successful. And by bringing all of that information together and giving it to the AI in a way that you're imagining that this is the world's most intelligent intern that has only just started in your company this morning. So they know nothing about the way you work. They know nothing about the assumptions that everyone in the organization has. They know nothing about what quality means and what kind of format you like things in. So because of that, you have to give the AI stroke intern a written brief so that it's got all of the information it needs to work with and it knows exactly how to give an output that you would like. And when you do
Excellent.
that, you get amazing, amazing output. But most people, their prompting is so bad that that's why they're disappointed with it, and that's why they don't get the output.
Few questions, Dave. That's very, very, very useful. First of all, how do you identify those tasks that you will have the help of AI on? And it's not very clear to me yet. And second, how do you, so I understand you will kind of self-reflect on how do I, as a human, usually solve these tasks? So for example, as you in your example, you would do first some research on the topic, then you would collate all this information, and then you will adapt it to an audience for a specific post, for example. So is it the right way to think about it? Is to reflect on how do I usually accomplish those tasks and have AI in each of those tasks help me get the best.
Well, I don't recommend that you use AI in all of those tasks.
Okay.
So I do. Once we've split things into subtasks, I then give people three buckets to put their subtasks in. The first is that we'll give this to AI. The second is we'll do this in collaboration with AI. And the third is AI is not going to touch this. And when I'm talking to people about this, I'm saying, look, from those tasks, when we were considering this, understand which of those tasks give you a thrill, which ones you look forward to doing, and which ones you find maybe not quite as exciting or you wish you could achieve more with. And when we think of it that way, they can then work out actually how AI can get involved. But there's quite a few of those tasks. When I'm breaking a larger task into subtasks, quite a few of those elements end up in the human only bucket. I'm not going to get AI involved in that. And part of it is because I feel that as a human, my experience, my knowledge, my emotions, everything that makes me me, gives me a better position to do that subtask. I'm better suited for it. But it's also part of it is that that's the thing that I love doing. I actually love sitting with a notebook in a coffee shop, looking out the window, racking my brains to come up with ideas. I love that part of it. And that's some of the stuff that I'm going to hold on to myself. But I may, at the end of that, once I've come up with a lot of ideas, I may go to AI and say, look, here's a load of ideas I've come up with. Based on my thinking, what do you think I've missed? And that, at that point, can still be really good, because at that point, you've got like collaboration at the end. Just, you're kind of like sense checking yourself. But a big part of it is understanding that you cannot give away the stuff that feeds your soul,
Yep.
or you're going to be miserable. Are you familiar with the book Drive by Dan Pink?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, it's a beautiful book. It's fantastic. And he talks about three elements that go into motivation in the workplace. So, and he says it's autonomy, so having a control over what you do, mastery, feeling as if you're getting better at what you do, and purpose, that it matters. We have to make sure that we don't erode those three. And if we go in mindlessly, just applying AI to everything, we will erode all three. Or if we go in as a team leader and put down demands and say, this is how you're going to work, and you're going to use AI at this level and this level and this level, you're not understanding that your team are all different. And some of them get a buzz out of different parts of the process. You need to give a certain amount of control, a certain amount of autonomy. And from something you wrote about the other day, talking about your kids and how they use technologies, getting them involved. And you have to get your team involved in understanding how, where, and what they can use AI for, what they can't use AI for. And what I've found from doing that in organizations is that the team, or even groups of students, if you're in education, will be more stringent on what they can and can't use it for than the team leader was intending. So just like you were sort of saying in your article the other day, that you know, when you've got Minecraft or whatever, and your son's playing it, he'll actually come up with, here's my rules, and it might be more severe than you would have the rules you would have given him.
Yes. Yeah, that's a very insightful. Um, how would you, yeah, give more detail about this? How can I, as a worker, leverage AI best? How can I, as a manager, and probably also as a company, um, help my staff, my teams, leverage AI better? I would love to
Yeah.
hear.
Well, I think a lot of this actually comes down to good management. And what makes good management really works with AI, and bad management, AI becomes a catalyst to make things worse if you have a bad management style.
Yes.
So, you know, good managers actually care about their team in some way. And good managers give their team a certain amount of autonomy and power to solve problems by themselves. Bad management is like over managing and micromanaging and ruling by fear. Really does not work with AI, and AI could make things potentially worse if if you are have. And I think that the AI is actually going to be a catalyst that will help the companies that are actually managed well, and it could make a negative dent on companies that are managed badly.
Will amplify the good, amplify the bad.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
so can you explain how 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 as a manager I should uh, leverage AI to
Yeah.
build what needs to be built?
Well, one of the things that we've found is that there's the secret AI users.
Okay.
And in companies, organizations that I go into, I sort of say, are people using AI in the workplace? And they go, no, not yet. And I go, really? You are wrong, because we're getting secret AI users
In
who
the
are,
last, just one very interesting stat that goes into this direction. In the last Microsoft index for AI, they found out that 78% of employees are using AI, unsanctioned AI.
yes,
So
yeah,
unsanctioned programs. So programs that their company are even not aware of, 78%.
that's right. And it's what they call the bring your own AI to work.
Exactly.
And so they are using their own AI tools, have signed up with in personal accounts, and they're using them in the workplace. And we're finding that, I don't know what the stats are with employees in the workplace, but I think they're very similar to what we've found with universities, because I work with universities as well. And students, the last stats I've got for students is that it's about 60% of them are using AI for their coursework. Now, for that, I think the other 40%, most of those are lying. But my daughter, I've got a 24-year-old daughter at university, and she's using AI, and she's using it in a brilliant way to help her learn rather than to outsource thinking. So she's doing an amazing job with it, because I talked to her about this. And what they did was they found that the students that were using AI, they asked them that if the university or their lecturer on any part of their course said you weren't allowed to use AI for this, they found that 69% of them would still use it regardless. And I think you'd find that in the workplace. And as I was speaking to like boards of companies over the last 18 months about this, and I'm saying, have you given your employees guidelines on what they can and can't use AI for and how they can get the most out of it? And most of them were like, no, we've not. One of them, a big Fortune 500 company, very proudly, somebody said yes. And this was in a room, I had 40 of the business leaders for this huge company in this room, 40 of the business leaders. And I said, oh, that's great. So you've created the guidelines for the employees? Yes. And have you told them about it? We sent them an email. Okay. And can I see those guidelines? And they brought them up on screen. And it was 8 pages of tightly knit legal copy. And I said, all right. I said, how many people in the room here knew that these guidelines existed? About a quarter of the hands went up. I said, how many people have read them? One hand tentatively went up. I said, you skimmed it, didn't you? Because you saw it was legal stuff and it wasn't very friendly. Or, yeah. I said, these aren't guidelines. This is you trying to legally cover your ass. That is not a guideline. A guideline is something that your employees have. They understand it. People have gone through it with them, and they can basically go to the guidelines, look at it, and it tells them exactly in a sentence what they can and can't do. You cannot put personally identifiable information into an AI tool. Great, I know that now. Boom, next page. And I have not met a single company yet that has done that. And I think that that's shocking, because you need to tell your staff how they can and can't use it.
Yes.
Because, I mean, as a European, I wish I was a European, Pascal, but as a European, you'll know about the whole GDPR thing. And if you put certain data into an AI tool, you are breaking the law, because you are putting information onto a server that you no longer control. That is illegal. So lots of people, if they're not told what to do, are just being illegal.
So that's very interesting. Those are the limits. How can companies and leaders put some limits in the use of AI? Now, how can they uh, push,
Yeah.
amplify their employees to use it the right way, of course, but to use it?
Yeah, well, you need to support your staff. I mean, this is stuff. When I was looking at this, I came up with
Is it like education?
education's
When you say
part of it.
support, it's about.
I think there's different kinds of support you need to give your employees. I think part of that is emotional support because there's a lot of people very worried. And when people are concerned and uncomfortable in the workplace, they don't perform as well. So you need to explain to people what your AI policies are, what your AI strategy is, and what that means for the employees. You need to give that kind of support for their emotions as well. You need to give them training and you need to give them access to tools. And I think that all of those things together are really important. But actually, the most important one right now is emotions. Because if you are not telling your employees how you're planning to use AI, it just leaves a knowledge gap. And I don't know anyone that fills a knowledge gap with positivity.
Yes.
And that is why, as an organization, you need to be communicating with your employees, with your staff. And that's something I've been trying to help my clients with.
Very good. Very good. Very interesting. I like to say information first, then education,
Yeah.
and finally empowerment. So providing the
Yes.
capacity to.
Yeah.
Uh, and finally, I like to give the fourth one being incentivizing. So we need to change the KPIs, the way
Yeah.
we assess performance of people. It's also about taking the risks of using those systems and embedding them into their work so that they can amplify themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's not many companies who've got to that stage where they need to start incentivizing people.
Yeah,
So
sure.
many companies are at the very early stages still, which to me, I'm kind
But
of
funny to see
shocked
that
about.
employees are adopting AI faster than their companies. That's
Oh,
funny to see.
yes.
I want us to focus, Dave, on a more personal point of view. What is your recommendation for people to amplify themselves using AI? How do they go about it? So we talked about identifying the different tasks that you have to perform and identifying those that are more for efficiency and effectiveness. Can you go more into detail and take my hand into
Yeah, well, I've got to be honest with you. I think that a lot of staff just aren't motivated to do this right now. There's been so much organizational change happening in companies over the last 15 years that in general has been handled really, really badly. And I think when AI comes in, as you're right, we're now doing AI stuff, I think a lot of people roll their eyes and a lot of people harden their hearts with resistance against another thing that I'm expected to do.
Yes.
So I think that we're starting from a difficult place.
Mm.
But I think with this, if you are, let's say that you are an individual and you know that AI is going to be important as a skill to have,
Mhm.
then if you're motivated to do it, I think the first thing is knowledge. You need to understand this. Before you start doing anything, you need to understand what the technology is. Try and be balanced about it. It's not all about the evangelism of this. There are some negatives of this, and we have to understand there are negatives there. And it's a good idea for us to be realistic and balanced with this. I'm very pragmatic with it. I talk about the issues with AI, the problems, as well as the amazing benefits.
Very good.
So I think it's really important to be honest. So fill yourself with knowledge that way
And,
first.
and sorry, just for this third point, as we are there, with so many news and so many new applications and systems and coming every day,
Yeah.
how do you filter the good from the bad? How do you avoid being overwhelmed and avoid spending your time trying new tools every day? So basically, you just
Yeah.
spend your time trying.
I would say ignore most things. There is a lot of stuff that comes out that basically every time ChatGPT launches something new, it seems as if 50% of AI startups are suddenly irrelevant. So there's a lot of movement at the cutting edge of this, but the AI tools are catching up with it and basically stealing the work from these startups. So ignore most of it. I would say at the beginning particularly, you should probably stick to one tool and understand how to use that tool. So actually learn how to get good at it. You don't want to be able to play every instrument in the orchestra from the beginning. Just stick to the oboe. Or no, in fact, I think it's probably more a piano, really, we're working with here, isn't it? So I think that that's an important thing, is actually to focus and just get good at one thing. Don't be overwhelmed. There's so much noise around this, and 90% of that noise is absolutely irrelevant and pointless.
So how do
in
you
the long
choose?
term.
How do you choose your instrument? How do you
Well,
choose which tool? Yeah.
yeah. Well, if you're wanting to know which tool, I mean,
I mean,
you could.
should we spend time on that, or you just pick the one that seems to make more sense and then focus on that one?
I've got to be honest. At the moment, you've got like what about 4 or 5 tools that are the sort of main front runners for everyday people.
Okay.
We can
So
we
we
can
have
go.
what? ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude,
Yep. You've
what?
got Copilot.
Perplexity, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe,
Copilot.
and potentially. I mean, Copilot is the one that probably most people are going to use in the workplace.
Yes.
Then you've got things like Mistral, the fantastic French startup, that are doing incredible stuff, absolutely phenomenal, but it's a bit too nerdy for most people at the moment, getting into Mistral. You've got Meta AI as well, but I would say, yeah, let's stick to these 4. And to be honest, with these 4, you can pick any of them, and you will get pretty much what you need from any of them. And at the moment, they're all just suddenly this one's ahead and then that one's ahead. And as of last night, Claude is leading the pack. Claude's the best one, but last week it was ChatGPT 4.0 was the best.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for Gemini to try to go even further.
Yeah.
So because of that, it's just these are the horses at the head of the pack. You can pick any of them. And any prompts that you get to write on one of them will work on all of them, because all a prompt is communicating in plain language what your needs are. You don't have to understand coding or anything that's particularly nerdy. It's just communicating in plain language.
Very good. So now I've chosen my tool and I know I need to focus on that, and I just forget all the noise around it.
Yeah.
What can you tell me, what do I do? So
Right. From that, what I recommend people do is they find a place that has got good prompts that they can try out, because most prompts you get are terrible. Most prompts that you will find on blogs are terrible. If your prompt is no more than 3 sentences, it's probably not a good prompt. You've not given the AI enough information. So what I teach in my courses is like a framework for writing good, robust prompts that are also reusable. So you get more value over time. So it might be effort up front, but you get more value over time. And it's really important to understand what a good prompt is like and what you can expect as an output from good prompts.
yes,
Because when I'm running workshops and I show people what a good prompt can do, first of all, they're surprised at the length of the prompt. And then they cannot
which is
believe
very
what it's
long.
actually delivered. Yes.
Yeah.
So I've got a framework which is called the Create framework that I use, which stands for C is character. So you tell the AI the character you want it to play. R is the request. It's what you actually want it to do. E is examples. If you've got examples, that's fantastic. It's amazing at emulating examples. A is adjustments. So you need to understand you're not going to get the prompt right first time. You need to refine it. So you're going to need adjustments. T is the type of output. And so many things you can do, from code to poetry to film scripts, whatever. What's the type of output you want? And then the E is the one that is the most entertaining one. It's the extras. And these are the little things you can add into a prompt that are bizarre things that will actually help to supercharge your prompts, like things that they discovered that telling the AI to take a deep breath before it started improved the quality of output.
Really?
Bribing it with money, imaginary money, improves its output. But there's really important extras that are things like, if I've not given you sufficient information, do not continue. Instead, ask me questions to get all the information you need before you give me the response. Now, that's a piece of magic that will reduce hallucinations, it will reduce the bullshit, and it will get you to something that's far more robust because it's working with actual information it needs to give a decent response. That to me is probably the most magical thing to add into a prompt.
I love that. Yeah, that part of the prompt. Tell
Yeah,
me if you have enough information. Don't do anything without and ask me more questions. Love it.
yeah,
That's a magic spell. And um, okay, so you create the right prompts and so usually a prompt is like is you said more than 3 sentences. Definitely, if you need to go
yeah.
through all the 6 letters.
Yeah, very often it's paragraphs, sometimes be the equivalent of several sheets of paper, particularly if you're adding in the information you want it to work with and you're
Yes.
copying and pasting. At that point, you're working with
So you copy and
something
paste
just
in a notes document so that you can
as
reuse some parts of the prompt. Yeah.
yeah. So sometimes I'll paste in a document, but a lot of the people that I'm teaching, they're not working with an AI that has the ability to paste in a document. So because of, sorry, to attach a document, so they're pasting in
Okay.
text. At that point, it gets really chunky.
Yes.
But the one thing I then tell people is you're not finished. Once you get your output, you're not done. Because that output now needs to be fed through the brain of a human being. And there's 3 things that we need to do with our AI output. And I call it the 3 C's. So the first is confirm. And you're going to confirm that the prompt has delivered what you asked for. So the AI has delivered what you actually asked for. The second C is check. At that point, you're actually wanting to make sure there's no hallucinations and you are fact checking. And AI is really good at helping you with that, actually. So you could say, could you please go through this and tell me, list all the facts that I need to check? And then you could even get it to go online to see, is there stuff that confirms or disproves this fact? So you can get it to help you with that. But it's really important that you check that, particularly if it's something for your organization. Then the third is craft. And the thing with AI is AI doesn't tend to give you excellence. It tends to give you adequacy. And it's unlikely to be in the tone that you want. It's unlikely to be something that would make you proud to hand over. It's going to require some work. It's going to require you to reword some stuff, maybe restructure some stuff, maybe rewrite some stuff. But basically, you should be working with that as an editor and a thinker, as a strategist, to make sure that that output that you're handing off is something that you would be proud of if you had created it yourself. So that's a really important part, because you can't hand off something to a colleague or to a client and when they say this isn't very good, say, well, it was the AI, it wasn't me. They're not going to let you off with that. It's your ass on the line, and you need to understand that you are responsible for all work you pass off, whether it's AI generated or not.
Exactly.
And
Excellent. I
there's
love it. That's as we used to use Excel, for example. If a formula was not good, it wasn't, hey, it's Excel. Excel did it. No,
yeah,
you're responsible for it. You did the mistake.
exactly.
I love it. I love the create, the 3 C's. That's clear and really deep, easy to use. I mean, we still have 2 minutes.
Well,
Anything that you want to add
well,
to this?
yeah, because there's something that I think that most organizations would be interested in. Is something that I brought out in the 1st of January based on conversations that I had with organizations last year. I created the Sensible AI Manifesto, which anyone can go along to, sensibleaimanifesto.com. And in here, there's like 7 promises that I think the organizations need to make to their employees, to their shareholders, to their clients, to suppliers. These are really, really important, that you need to at least think about these. And if you're going to discount any of them, you should have an alternative. So this comes from really robust thinking with a bunch of organizations that I worked with last year. And sensibleaimanifesto.com, I think, is something that folk
Amazing.
might want to go along to.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you, Dave. And where can we find all your work? I,
Oh, I'm very fortunate, Pascal.
yes.
I'm one of only 5 Dave Birsses in the world, it seems, with the
Okay.
spelling of my name,
Okay.
and I'm the one that won the internet. So basically, if you spell my name correctly, which seems to be quite difficult for some people, That's my name right there. If you spell it correctly, then you can find me on the internet. But this year, my website is about to be relaunched in a couple of weeks' time, and I will have two brand new courses up there on this website. So this is probably the best place to find out about me, or just find me on LinkedIn. Take my courses. Send me a message. I try to get back to people.
Excellent. That was lovely. Thank you so much, Dave. Lot of insight, crunchy, easy to apply. Thank you very much, Dave.
Great.
Uh,
Thank you, Pascal. Been lovely chatting to you.
so see you soon, Dave. And to the audience, we'll be back soon with some other crunchy topics around irreplaceable methods. Thank you.
Thank you.